In the year 2157, Dr. Eleanor Monroe was not celebrated. She was feared. Her name had become synonymous with the macabre and forbidden in the annals of science. Driven by an obsession that bordered on madness, she had spent decades delving into the darkest corners of theoretical physics, intent on unraveling secrets that should remain locked away. Dr. Monroe's secret underground laboratory was a crypt of dread beneath the sprawling abyss of New York City. The entrance was a foreboding portal, concealed behind layers of reinforced steel and guarded by security measures that echoed the paranoia of her pursuit, the Nexus paradox. The very essence of this device was a malevolent force that seemed to pulse with an unholy life. Its core was an obsidian abyss adorned with sinister eldritch symbols that seemed to writhe with malevolence. The Nexus paradox emanated a haunting, otherworldly hum that echoed like the dirge of forgotten souls. It filled the subterranean chamber with a dissonant melody that seemed to claw at the minds of those who dared to enter. Its computer terminals were etched with maddening fractal patterns, and holographic displays danced with spectral apparitions that whispered of cosmic horrors beyond comprehension. Dr. Monroe's team of experts, once driven by curiosity and ambition, now bore the weight of unspeakable dread. Captain James Mitchell, whose stoic bravery had once been their bedrock, now felt the icy fingers of paranoia crawl up his spine. Dr. Sarah Foster, the quantum biologist, had her dreams plagued by grotesque, deformed life forms, writhing in agony within twisted ecosystems. Professor David Collins, the astrophysicist, questioned the very fabric of reality itself as he stared into the abyss of the Nexus paradox's core. Laura Carter, the linguist, heard disembodied voices in the shadows, whispers that spoke of forbidden knowledge and unspeakable horrors. As Dr. Monroe activated the Nexus paradox, the room plunged into a malevolent darkness. The portal began to shimmer and distort, like a ravenous maw that hungered for the souls of the living. The team exchanged uneasy glances, their once tenacious resolve now tainted by an all-encompassing sense of horror. They were poised on the precipice of an abyss, and the malevolent energies that surrounded the Nexus paradox whispered promises of damnation, unspeakable terrors, and a descent into madness from which there could be no escape. Dr. Monroe's meticulous selection of her team had been a grueling process, with each member chosen not just for their expertise, but for their ability to withstand the encroaching terror of the Nexus paradox. The laboratory, bathed in an eerie, greenish glow, seemed to pulsate with malevolence as the team assembled before it. Captain James Mitchell, a once stalwart leader, stood at attention, his military background evident in every fiber of his being. His deep-set eyes, once filled with unwavering determination, now bore the weight of unseen horrors. His rugged features, marked by the countless hours spent in the unforgiving vacuum of space, now seemed etched with the creeping dread of the unknown. Dr. Sarah Foster, the quantum biologist, was a striking contrast to Mitchell. Her youthful appearance belied the profound knowledge she held, but her bright eyes, once filled with wonder, were now clouded by an unshakable unease. Her lab coat, once pristine, bore the stains of countless experiments on the fringes of scientific understanding. Professor David Collins, the astrophysicist, was a man of intellect and precision. His once orderly appearance had given way to disheveled hair and a haggard countenance. He stood hunched over the holographic star chart, his trembling hands tracing the celestial coordinates. The weight of his expertise now bore down upon him as he grappled with the incomprehensible nature of the Nexus paradox. Laura Carter, the linguist, exuded an air of quiet determination. Her dark hair framed her face, and her sharp, inquisitive eyes darted around the chamber, taking in every detail. Her fingers brushed lightly over the alien glyphs etched onto the surface of the Nexus paradox, the touch of her hands seeming to bridge the gap between the known and the unknowable. The camaraderie that had once united them had frayed at the edges, replaced by a palpable tension that hung in the air. The Nexus paradox, once a symbol of scientific progress, had transformed into an ominous enigma that threatened to consume them all. The team's shared anticipation of the journey had been replaced by a creeping sense of trepidation, as if they were on the brink of descending into a nightmarish abyss. As Dr. Monroe activated the Nexus paradox, the room plunged into a suffocating darkness, and the portal shivered with a malevolence that seemed sentient. The team exchanged furtive glances, their eyes wide with terror, as they embarked on a journey that was no longer about discovery, but survival.